Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, so we're diving into a really fascinating possibility today. What if your brain is actually hiding a high IQ in plain sight? Have you ever felt like everyone around you just kind of gets things faster? Or maybe you've secretly worried, hey, maybe I'm just not that smart, simply because you don't fit that rigid textbook definition of a genius? Well, stick with me here, because we are about to completely reframe how you see your own mind. So let's kick things off right there. Do you have a hidden high IQ? Because society gives us this very narrow picture of what a smart person looks like. Usually, it's someone who aces every math test without even trying or instantly memorizes giant textbooks. But true intelligence, it often operates completely differently in the real world. In fact, because of this widespread misconception, it's highly likely that your absolutely brightest traits might currently feel like your biggest flaws. Today, we're uncovering 10 scientifically backed, highly subtle signs that reveal your intelligence is operating on a level most people never even recognize. So, toss out those old high school grades for a second. These traits are deeply rooted in complex neuroscience and biology. Let's find out exactly how many of these hidden indicators you actually recognize in yourself. All right, moving into our first section. Quirks of the high IQ brain and how these are actually optimized biological processes. Sign number 1, talking to yourself. Now, I know it might look a little eccentric to outsiders, right? But studies out of the University of Wisconsin actually show that verbalizing your thoughts helps your brain process information faster and retain it way longer. You are literally coaching your own neurological system through complex reasoning. Albert Einstein was famously known for quietly repeating sentences to himself. So if you catch yourself mumbling through daily problems, congratulations, you're in incredibly good company. Your high IQ also reveals itself in a cluster of very specific lifestyle habits. We're talking about things like craving novelty, getting bored easily, naturally being a night owl, and having this intense sensitivity to background noise. Let's break down that boredom piece for a second. If you absolutely can't stand repetitive routines, it isn't because you're lazy. Highly intelligent people actually have a much faster reward prediction system. Your brain simply extracts way less dopamine from simple repetitive tasks. So, to get that necessary dopamine hit, your mind actively searches for and frankly demands highly complex challenges to solve. It's like your brain is always hungry for a tougher puzzle. And what about staying up late? Research from the London School of Economics proves that preferring the night hours heavily correlates with higher intelligence test scores. Why? Well, it's because creative insights really only emerge when all the chaotic distractions of the day finally fade away. The quiet of the midnight hours gives your brain that uninterrupted silence it desperately needs to just wander, build mental models, and really connect the dots. Which brings us to heightened sensory processing, that intense sensitivity to background noise, like a ticking clock or someone breathing just a little too loudly in a quiet room. It isn't an oversensitivity. Your brain is essentially acting as a super absorber, taking in massive amounts of environmental data all at once to detect patterns faster. Although, admittedly, it can totally lead to severe overstimulation when someone is aggressively crunching on a snack right next to you. Let's pivot to section 2, the overthinker's advantage and turning anxiety into analysis. If you are someone who constantly replays conversations in your head, heavily questions your daily decisions, and effortlessly imagines, say, 50 different outcomes for a single scenario, man, it can be exhausting. You've probably convinced yourself over the years that you're just an overly anxious person who can't let things go. But actually, the science behind this cognitive behavior tells a totally different story. Neuroscientists call this intense overthinking metacognition. Basically, it's the neurological ability to think about your own thinking, and it's a highly advanced form of analysis. When you spiral into those endless what-if scenarios, your brain is just rapidly exploring every possible logical pathway to prepare for the future. It's a sign of sheer neurological power, not necessarily an anxiety disorder. Now, what if you constantly doubt your own intelligence? Let's talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect. You might battle imposter syndrome daily, convinced everyone else in the room has it figured out. But this psychological phenomenon proves you have it completely backward. Here is exactly how it works. The less someone actually knows, the more confidently they overestimate their abilities, right? They just don't know enough to realize their own blind spots. But the more knowledge you accumulate, the more profoundly aware you become of exactly what you don't know, meaning your constant self-doubt actually proves you firmly grasp the immense complexity of the world around you. And what about putting things off? Active procrastination. Psychologists at the University of Calgary found that high IQ brains frequently utilize this. Basically, your brain absolutely rejects pointless busy work. Instead, it waits until a task truly matters and the pressure is genuinely on to go all in. That is exactly why you might find yourself doing your absolute best, most hyper-focused work at the very last possible minute. Sound familiar? Moving right along to Section 3, the deep mind. We're looking at memory, emotion, and endless curiosity. Look at this classic contrast in daily life. You might frantically struggle to find your keys on a daily basis, yet you can flawlessly quote a random movie from 2008 without even trying. Listen, this isn't a bad memory. This is your working memory heavily flexing. An intelligent brain categorizes and holds on to complex, stimulating details, but it aggressively discards mundane, repetitive info, like where you just set down your wallet. There's also an incredible emotional component to all of this. Feeling emotions deeply and possessing a high degree of empathy is not a sign of fragility. It's actually a sign of profound neural sophistication. Highly intelligent people don't just think deeply about the world, their neural pathways are wired to feel the world deeply too. And this allows for incredibly nuanced social understanding. Which brings us to a trait universally shared by geniuses throughout history, an absolutely insatiable curiosity. Do you never stop learning? It's that relentless drive to keep reading, asking questions, and seeking out better answers, even when you already know enough to get by. Honestly, if you are watching this explainer right now simply because you want to understand human psychology better, well, that endless desire to voluntarily learn automatically puts you in the top tier of intelligent minds. Let's wrap this up with Section 4, redefining intelligence and what smart actually looks like. True intelligence is clearly not just about solving math equations on a chalkboard. When we strip away the academic stereotypes, we find it's fundamentally about your awareness, your adaptability, your curiosity, and your incredible depth of thought. These are the true metrics of a highly capable mind navigating our complex world. Being smart isn't about grades, test scores, or how fast you can solve equations. That really says it all. The traditional academic mold completely misses the beautifully complex reality of how a high IQ brain operates in the real world. Your brain is a dynamic, hyperprocessing engine that is constantly analyzing and feeling. You are so much more than a standardized test score. So, the next time someone calls you too sensitive, too quiet, or tells you that you're way too lost in your own head, I want you to just smile, because now you know exactly what true, hidden intelligence looks like. And let me leave you with this final thought. If your misunderstood mind has been hiding all this incredible neurological power from you in plain sight, what else is it capable of achieving once you finally recognize it and fully unleash it?